Okay, Mark. So we talked about the fact you sort of make a living with betting and bookmaking at point to points. What sort of money would you expect to get on? Obviously, it's depending on the meeting, but can you get decent bets on at point to point?
Punting, yeah, depending on where you go. I mean, there's different variety of bookmakers. I mean, the west of England and Devon, possibly the best. I don't really go all out in point to points. It's more a watch and learn thing, so I'm not expecting to get loads and loads of money on. So I can get on what I want to get on, really.
Okay, does it help that you've got other opinionated point to point bookmakers that might think, right, I'm going to take you on?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of taking me on. I mean, there's a lot of other bookmakers in the West Country, Mike Smith and Rich Pittard and people like that, who have their own opinions, and it probably a lot of the time differs to mine. So,
okay, so the other thing that you make a few quid at is hunter chases, which you'll race on in normal cards at normal racecourses. So you must have a problem getting your money on there.
That would be my main thing, hunter chases. Point to point is a means to an end, really. It's more about hunter chases, and obviously, as you say, they're run on racecourses, they're on the betting exchanges, they're priced up overnight, but I mean, that's really difficult. I've got accounts in different people's names because if you back a winner, you're barred. So, but I can get on, you can get more or less anything you want on. So that is my main thing, is backing hunter chases.
Okay, what would be your edge in a hunter chase?
Like I just said, going to the point to points, watching videos, doing the work, looking at. I've always had a feel for the form book. I've done it for a long time, and it still works out.
Okay, so do you go racing at these meetings, or do you just sit in the office and make a phone call?
Hunter chases, no, I generally sit here and watch it.
Now, there's talk of, we don't really hear about it so much in England, but in Ireland, horses from the point-to-point field selling for eye-watering amounts of money.
Yeah.
Why do you think that doesn't happen so much over here?
I think it's starting to happen. They've started having 4-year-old races and flat races at point-to-points now, and I think it is. There's a couple of yards that are basically professional, and it is starting to happen here.
Is that something, with the professional yards? You see a lot of the top trainers at point-to-point, especially our local ones we do. Is the fact it's getting more professional a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't really know. It's difficult for the smaller trainers to run against professional yards, but that's the rules.
Okay, now there's always lots of sort of folklore about point to points. I read the story about the bookmaker that bet overs and went in and bought around, and then they abandoned the meeting. You had to pay everybody back, that sort of thing. Is there any particular incidents that stick in your mind over your time that sort of stood out?
I have for a long time bet on the men's and the ladies' riders' titles every year, and I remember a long time ago a guy phoning me from down your way, Devon or Cornwall, called Bernard Heffernan.
Oh, I remember this, yeah.
And he phoned me one day and said, "What price can I have myself to win the men's title?" Well, I said, "Give me half an hour to do some research and I'll get back to you." Anyway, I phoned Mike and Andy Smith's dad, Chris Smith, who also bet on that now. He said, "Oh, you're phoning me about Bernard." He said, Bernard had just bought Yahoo after it finished second in the Gold Cup to Desert Orchid. So he'd got Yahoo and maybe 2 other horses and thought he was going to win the riders' title. So Chris said, "Well, I've laid him 50 to 1. I phoned him back and said 50 to 1. So he said, "I'll have £1,000 at 50 to 1. And what price can I have now?" I said, 33 to 1. "Well, I'll have another 1,000 at 33 to 1. So, and fair enough, he sent me a cheque for £2,000, and I think he ended up riding 3 winners that year. 2 on Yahoo and 1 on something else, perhaps.
I mean, that made the press. 'Cause I remember reading about that, and people were wondering if bookmakers are going to have to sell their houses. If,
yeah, I don't think there was any danger of having to sell their house to pay Bernard. No.
If I remember rightly, you used to have adverts in the Sport and Life, didn't you? The Racing Post prices for the points.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back pointing. If I can I get that?
Yeah.
This from 1973, so that was 1973 when my father was advertising for quote you any price for all future hunter chase and point to point. So well, we go back a long way in pointing.
Well, we're going to talk about your dad a bit later on. Because,
Okay.
People will be quite surprised, possibly, or if they are old enough, they'll remember him. Just briefly, have you ever get involved with Irish point to points?
Not really, apart from the runners they have over here.
Okay. Have you ever been involved with owning?
I've owned 3 or 4 pointers. Had a touch with one at Cothelston. It was an evening meeting. Horse called Gel Canto that we had a few quid on at about 10 to 1. And I had a pretty decent horse, but unfortunately met with an accident at Kingston Blount.
The people that own point-to-point horses, unless they're hoping to sell them for six-figure sums, really are doing it for the love of the sport, because they're running for a couple of £100, are they?
Yeah.
So is having a pointer horse in training relatively cheaper as well?
No, I think it's just, it costs as much to keep a good one as a bad one, doesn't it?
Okay, so how healthy is the point-to-point scene at the moment?
Well, I think most people came into this season with a bit of doom and gloom, thinking, the horse population is down, and because last year, towards the end, the entries were getting less, the runners were few and far between. But the few I've been to this season, I think it's in great position. A new guy, nice guy in charge, Peter Wright, seems to be doing a good job of sorting it out, and everywhere I've been, I've seen him.
Okay, what would you like to see change for the better?
For the better, not a lot really. We need a few more horses, perhaps, a few more owners, but no, I think it's all right.
And how long would a waiting list be these days for a bookmaker to get on?
Oh, well, the bookmakers are getting fewer and fewer, less and less licenses, I think. I don't know if you applied to get on. I don't really know.
Okay. So it always used to be years, didn't it?
Yeah.
So would a punter watching this, would they, if they're looking for an edge, would they have a better chance of finding one if they concentrated on going to the points?
It takes a bit of getting into. I think you might find it a bit alien to begin with, but no, you see this. If you stick to an area, you see the same horses, and you watch the races, and you just, if you form an opinion and it's any good. I mean, people go on about the way the bookmakers bet at point to points and the percentages are too high, but I don't really see that, because something on the board will be 4 to 1 that should be 40 to 1. So sometimes it's not relevant.
So are there any professional punters that purely make a living from point to points?
I think there are now, yeah. There's, I see the same ones on the circuit, same few year in, year out.
Okay, so what sort of, do you feel obliged to lay a bet bigger than you really want to when you've got a decent punter that comes in at a point?
I generally know what the punter's bet is, and if it increases substantially, I don't really knock anybody back now.
Okay, so what would be the best point-to-point meeting of the season that you go to?
My favourite course anywhere, points or racing, is a place called Lower Macon, which is near Newport. Unfortunately, they're not holding a point this year, but hopefully Tim Jones can get it back up and running for next year.
Okay, and the Cheltenham Hunter Chase evening, is that like your festival?
Yeah, I had one of the best nights ever last year. I think I actually went through the card and had a lucky 15 with 4 winners in it. I mean, one of the bookies there, I gave the card to him, Pete Houghton, said it was the best card he'd ever seen and sent me a bottle of champagne, which is very unusual for Pete.
Just the one, Pete. Tap, tap.